in fire losses. And I tell you something else, they're lowering everybody's fire insurance by about 50%, because if you have a fire department in your village, your fire insurance drops dramatically.
No
if
question
you don't,
about it.
it's very much higher.
And this is what helps us in the city of Dunkirk, it's a professional fire department we do have.
Yeah, you do. You pay yours.
Yes. Fredonia has a paid one, and not as
Partially,
large
yeah,
as
they have
ours.
a part paid, part volunteer.
And then, yeah, they have an active volunteer up there.
Okay, we have a couple phone calls. Should we take one, or you
Sure.
want to continue rapping
Go
about
ahead.
the firemen?
No.
Hey, good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning, and my kudos go to the firemen and all that they do, too, because they are just, they're really
Well,
great.
as Mayor Frey pointed out, they risk their lives every day. And,
Absolutely.
in more than one way, I might add.
They're very special people.
Yes, they are. And, however, earlier you were discussing something about the drug problem and so forth. And
Which infect all major cities in this country, I might add. It's not
Absolutely.
just Dunkirk.
And somebody, I had heard it suggested perhaps we ought to have the police in the schools. And personally, I don't feel that that's the solution. I think more education might be the solution on to what happens. What I really think would help is to have people of the young people's age who have gotten themselves in a mess and ended up having to go to rehab and so forth, come in and speak to the others, to their contemporaries. I found that teens especially get a lot more out of contemporaries than they do out of adults talking to them about problems.
Yeah.
And if they could have more programs where teen talks to teen, especially a teen
We hear you. We
has
hear
a
you.
problem, I think would be a lot more effective.
Okay. Yeah, I remember what happened to Nancy Reagan had a perfect answer. She said,
Yeah,
just say
she
no.
did at that time.
Just say no.
Yeah.
That's
but,
all.
Ma'am, on the radio or on the TV here,
Yes.
you hit the nail on the head. You know, kid talking to kid, and boy talking to boy, girl talking to girl, you know, whatever it should be. I do agree. They should be on the same level and say, hey, I've been there, I've done this. It's not right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think education is probably, of course now, you know, what's going on in the state, you know, we the first thing we always look at is education and state aid and everything. We're going to cut it all, you know, and now,
Well,
it's a sad part of the time we're at right now. But you got the right idea as far as taking some of the kids that came out of...
no, and perhaps instead of having everything state aided, we could have more volunteer.
No question about it, man.
And that would take maybe some of the angst off what's happening within our state right at this point. But anyways, that's my idea for whatever good it's worth.
Well, I think it's an excellent idea.
Well, thank you, caller.
Everybody enjoy it. The sun is shining.
It is?
So enjoy.
Thank you very much.
You have a great
caller.
day, young lady.
Send me a stamped envelope, Box 188 Mayville. I got some nice gifts for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess people are concerned about these things, and again, as you pointed out, the state is basically stealing our money. They're taking everything. They're not giving us back. They stole for instance, the governor just last week, according to Kathy Young, who raised a rumpus. We have a very discriminatory tax. It's against snowmobilers. Now, in the winter, we have no tourism. The one thing we depend on is snowmobilers, so we slap them with a $100 or more fee to come into the state to spend their money here. It doesn't make sense to me at all. I think it's criminal. But they say, well, wait a minute, we're taking that money and we're putting it into a fund so that we can improve the snowmobiling and we'll have more snowmobilers here. The governor just announced he's going to take the fund and use it for welfare down in the city.
Well, and there's a lot, you know, I guess, I don't know, who was it? Probably Barry Goldwater back in '64 when he ran for president. Probably had the right idea. He said, you know, if we cut off Manhattan and Long Island, just let it float out to the ocean, you know.
They say that about California.
We might be in better shape in New York State, you know, because it is. And it's, well, take a look at the state Senate and the state assembly. It's totally run out of New York City. And
all the government now is New York City.
That's right.
Everything.
Yeah.
Kathy Young has pointed that out.
Yeah.
The governor, the DA, everybody, most of the people, all the leaders in the assembly and the Senate, they're all New York City people, or down around the New York City. So they're running the show, and we're up here, we're stranded. They don't even care about us in Chautauqua County, I think.
But the lady did make a comment about, you know, we need more volunteers and we shouldn't have to depend upon state aid and stuff like that. Well, if we didn't have a lot of mandates from the state, we wouldn't have to be relying upon them. And that's our greatest problem, is our mandates unfunded by the state. And if we knew when we prepared our budget back in October, passed it in December, the state doesn't pass theirs now until April. So therefore, they could come in and cut state aid that I've already projected in there, going from previous figures and what we work with the state and what we've been indicated we could go. And a good example of that is this past December, when we get our largest state aid check, which is over some $1,003,000, they withheld it for 2-3 weeks. But during this time, I was going to use money from that state aid fund to early pay my pension payments, which I could have saved $7,000 or $8,000 for the city to do that. But then they withheld it for 2 weeks, so I got there late to send the money to them. So therefore, they said to me, well, you lost that, so you're going to lose your discount, and they charged me $9,000, and if I don't pay it again by February 1st, I was going to have an 8% penalty on that. And yes, we are talking with the comptrollers out. We are talking with other people. It's as unfair as could possibly be.
It sounds crazy almost.
Well, at the last 2 weeks of the year, they withheld 10% of our state aid funds, $153,000 of it. In the last 10 days, you know, when you're out there trying to balance your books for the end of the year, and it's difficult.
Well, the governor has announced he's going to extend that to the people. Not just, I mean, he's going to withhold our state tax refund.
Well, I want to see how far that lead balloon flies.
I don't know, but I
don't think it's going to fly very far.
I'll tell you something. I think this governor's going to run again. Even Obama had the audacity to come down and say, "Don't even dream of it. We want to try to keep New York State in the fold."
I think this weekend the governor's supposed to make his intentions known, so I guess we'll know after this weekend.
Well, I suspect the governor.
I have an indication that I think maybe he will be one of your candidates.
Well, I think maybe you could see the writing on the wall. If he runs, he's going to get slaughtered. But I guess not, huh? For some reason.
You got a different element of people down in New York City. You don't know what you're dealing with down there.
I don't know.
You know, it's
well, they've got so many voters. They got like 7 million people.
As long as you keep
20 million people in the area.
As long as you keep pouring that money into Medicaid and that, which is a large volume of their votes, and this is a backbone of them down in the
welfare.
city.
They all vote, you know.
Yeah, welfare and Medicaid.
And they don't even have to speak English. Did you know that?
That's right.
You don't even have to be able to speak or write, read, write, or anything English. You just come in, you vote. Your local councilman tells you how to vote, you know.
Well, yeah, that's the way it used to be years ago here in the city, you know, but people are more intelligent today. People are smarter today. The public is smarter today.
I hope so.
And you know, don't go trying to pull a wool over their eyes.
I was on the election commission in Queens for a while, Assembly District, and as the leader, I had to oversee the polls, and we were doing an election. Somebody came in and didn't speak a word of English. Now, this is back, 30, 40 years ago, and back then you had to give people a test, and if they couldn't, well, first of all, you give them the test, then somebody had to leave the polls and drive all the way about a 45-minute ride over to Livingston Street, 110 Livingston, and turn the test in to be corrected. And then they had to come back and decide if they passed the test, they could vote. But if they couldn't speak English, they didn't vote. And so what I did is I said, "This is craziness. We can't do this." And so the guy comes in. He didn't seem to speak English. And I said, "Well, let me. Could we pre-test him?" And they said, "Yeah, you could do that if he seems to pass." I said, "Do you speak English?" I said to him. He said, "Si." I said, "He passes. That's it." And of course, years later, they said it's illegal and unconstitutional anyway. So, good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Well, good morning.
Well, good morning.
Good morning, Dick. How are you?
And you, young lady, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. This is Linda Spalding.
Oh,
hi,
Linda
Linda.
Spalding. You may have met her husband. He's an elderly gentleman, just so sweet. Douglas Spalding. He
all right.
he runs around a little wheel thing and one of those little wheelchair things that run.
Scooters, yeah.
And he cackles and he runs. He's very popular. Very shortly